Hi guys, welcome back to our channel Swipe to Learn. We are back with another video in our DBMS series, that is Entity Relationship Model. As you know, in the previous video we have discussed about several types of data models, that may be object oriented model, hierarchical model, ER model, relational model, and so on. If you see, these are all different types of models that are used, but ER model plays one of the most significant roles in the data storage. We'll be see about this ER model in detail. As you know, ER stands for entity and relationship model. We'll discuss about each term and how to create it and different types of ER diagrams in the real world scenarios. Let's get started with this video. So, as you know, with the terminology of ER model, we need to know about what is entity and entity set and what are attributes, keys, and relationships. We'll be discussing about these four in this video. So, let's get started. So, what is an entity and entity set? Entity is a real world objects, like something you define with some characteristics or you name it with this. If it has this particular characteristics, then this is called as this, so that's called as an entity. And what is entity set? Like all these characteristics, complete data sets, like what we say. If you say with an object, if you say with a class is called as entity, and all the objects of that class you create, like object will be entity. Say student is an entity, then S1, S2, so on, Sn are the students. Then these are all, this complete data set of all the student is called as an entity set. So entity. So if you see here, student is and course, these are all two objects. Like student have some kind of characteristics. You can define this is the unique person of characteristics. So that's it, why it's called as an entity. In the same way, courses, and these are called as entity. You'll be discussing about what is the meaning of study. Like this is the relationship between the student and course. What student does, what is the relationship between these two entities, that is called as study. So this is called as relationship. We'll discuss about this. So if you see with an attribute, like characteristics of the entity is called as attribute. Attributes are the attribute that define the what is entity. If you say with the student, how you identify the characteristic of student? If you see student will possess roll number, name, date of birth, and mobile number. With these characteristics, you can define if student as an entity. So if you call, instead of calling a student name, if you call a roll number, then it clearly defines the student, what student possess, or the name, it defines the student. So these are all the characteristics. Characteristics are called as attributes. Attribute helps us to define. If you see attributes, you'll be seeing about different types of attributes also. If you see with a simple attribute, like these are atomic values and cannot be broken down into simpler attributes, like the student age. If you say with the student age column, it may be 17 or 18, 19, only something. You can't break it down, right? This is called as a simple attribute. Whereas it comes to composite attribute, it's made up of more than one simple attribute. Like if you see with the student address, it contains house number, street name, pin code, or lane, landmarks, everything. You can make it break down into several simple attributes. That's why it's called as composite attributes. And whereas if you come with the derived attribute, these are attributes, they're not present in the database, but you can derive them with the coding. Suppose if you need the average age of all the students with an attribute called simple attribute called age, you can derive this attribute called average age, like how you perform the operations. If you go and select the queries which results the average of all the student by calculating the values from the column age, so then you will be getting derived attribute. If the single valued and multiple value, if you say with the name attribute, it contains of only unique value. If you say with the marks, for each and every assessment it have different values. So these are single valued and multiple values. These are five most different and popular types of attributes. And you see with the key, if the attribute you, keys are defined uniquely. Suppose if you see with the attribute roll number, you can define it defines the student. So no two students will have the same number. So this is called as a key. Keys are of like n different types. We will be having a special dedicated video on different types of key. For now, if you see, the types of key are like super key, candidate key, primary key. Super key is like it's a superset of all the keys, and candidate key is the minimalistic key. And if you see with the primary key, it uniquely defines the row. Like if you go, if you say roll number is the primary key, you can say it because this is uniquely defined, because no other two students will have the same key. Those are called as primary key. If you see with, and these are all the representation. If you see student phone, student name, age, these are all attributes. Attributes can also be keys if you are they have unique ID. Suppose student phone will be unique, and also student name might be unique or not. Same, if two students may also have same name, like that, uniquely defined. If you see student ID, you have a special representation of underline in the attribute. This is the representation of the primary key. Student ID is similar to roll number, so no two students will have the same roll number. So we'll be seeing about this representation and how to create ER diagram. If you see with the relationship, an entity is always correlated to another entity. So if you see with the real world objects, everything is interrelated and everyone is dependent on other in any scenario. Maybe of it may be a use case or maybe a dependency. So entity is related, class is related to student, student is related to class. This is called as a relationship. And number of entities involved. Suppose if you say students study courses, a student can study n number of courses. So then how many courses they are studying, this is called as an cardinality or degree, you can call it. So what is the degree of this relationship study is, you can say it's have n. If two entities are involved, it can call it as binary relationship. If three entities are involved, it is said to ternary relationship. So these are different kinds of relationships. And congratulations for kickstarting your DBMS learning in this ER model. Keep practicing and we'll be going into how to create ER diagrams with different kinds of representation in detail in the next coming video. Thank you guys for watching.